What's up everyone? Welcome back to Quest Mode. I'm Josh, and today I'm counting down the top 10 3D action adventures for the Nintendo Switch as ranked by their Metacritic score. Now, we all know that the Switch launched with one of the best action adventures of all time with Breath of the Wild. But what about games that offer a similar experience, or games that are totally unique but still fit into the action-adventure genre? Well, you might be surprised. Let's get into it. If nothing else, Fea is one of the most beautiful games released in 2018. It's a 3D Metroidvania in which you run around as this cute little furball to unlock the secrets of the forest. You do so using musical tunes, and as you sing your various songs, they act as keys that let you interact with other wildlife and open up new areas. This all creates some neat puzzle solving, but the game also features a good amount of platforming as well as a bunch of stuff to collect, meaning completionists will probably get the most mileage out of this relatively short quest. Despite the interesting musical mechanics, Fea did get mixed reviews, so I recommend watching or reading a few before picking it up. But if you're looking for a meditative, zen-like experience that's easy on the eyes, this might be just the game to calm your nerves. I first laid eyeballs on Malacca during the Nindies showcase back in 2017, and it instantly grabbed my attention. At the time, 3D Zelda-like games on Switch were tough to come by, and frankly, they still are. This one has you exploring a colorful, low-poly world inspired by the indigenous cultures and landscapes of Mexico. In fact, the developers put a lot of effort into accurately and respectfully representing the cultures from which they drew their inspiration, and it shows in the unique aesthetic. As you explore, you'll solve puzzles and fight bosses, nothing too out of the ordinary or too difficult. Some common complaints with Malacca are that neither the combat nor brain teasers are all that challenging. That said, with a quest that'll take around 10 hours and priced at just $20, Malacca is a solid addition to any action-adventure fan's Switch library. I have a confession to make. There was a time when I didn't really enjoy the LEGO games, like at all. But then I played a different game in the series, LEGO Jurassic World, which is based on my favorite Hollywood IP of all time, and I was hooked. These games are just so damn charming. With LEGO City Undercover, the development team at Traveler's Tales created an adventure that feels like a cops and robbers TV show, mixed with a little bit of Grand Theft Auto and sprinkled with some genuinely funny PG-rated humor. And unlike GTA, you play through the game as a good guy rather than as a horrible human being. And if you've never played a LEGO game, get ready for collectibles. Lots and lots of collectibles. For gamers who never played LEGO City Undercover on any other platform, and who want a laid-back experience that provides smile after smile after smile, this open world is definitely worth a visit. When Resident Evil Revelations first released for the 3DS back in 2012, it was somewhat of a return to form for the franchise. Revelations returned to the claustrophobic horror, quirky puzzles, and tension-filled inventory management of older Resident Evil games. Revelations 1 takes place mostly on an ooze-infested cruise ship, which is a fantastic and spooky setting. But you can definitely tell it was developed for the underpowered 3DS. Revelations 2, on the other hand, feels much more fully featured. It's got larger environments and more detailed graphics, but most notable is the multi-character gameplay system that has you switching between different protagonists, each of whom has unique puzzle-solving abilities. If you're not a fan of horror, stay away. But if you like gross stuff, action, and some fun head-scratchers, the Resident Evil Revelations collection is one, or rather two, great additions to your Switch library. It was a bit of a shock when Rockstar announced that of all the games they could port to Switch, they decided on LA Noire, a 2011 open-world crime drama that everybody had pretty much forgotten about. For the uninitiated, the concept of LA Noire is pretty cool. You take to the streets of 1940s Los Angeles as Detective Cole Phelps, and it's your job to hunt down clues and interview suspects to solve cases. The interviews in particular are where this game shines. You have to read your suspects' facial animations to detect if they're lying, then make your decisions on how to solve the case. It works amazingly well because LA Noire features spectacular acting and even better character animations. You really can pick up on what the characters are thinking. That said, despite being an open world game from Rockstar, don't expect another Grand Theft Auto. The open world is pretty empty and driving around LA just isn't that fun. But if you go in hoping for a one-of-a-kind story-driven experience that makes you feel like a detective, LA Noire will not disappoint. When Dragon Quest Builders was first revealed, many people, especially Dragon Quest fans, didn't expect a Minecraft clone to mix so well with such a traditional RPG franchise. But alas, this game rocks. See what I did there? Anyways, just like Minecraft, Builders has you stacking piles of earth to build your dwellings and pretty much whatever you want. But it's way more than just a sandbox. The bulk of the game lies in its story mode. After you set up camp, you'll run through quests to gather resources, take down monsters, help NPCs, and expand your village. The RPG elements mix with the go anywhere, do anything nature of Minecraft to create a game that's by all accounts incredibly difficult to put down. If you want to build stuff, but you also want something more contained and guided, you just might fall in love with Dragon Quest Builders. Some of you might be asking, how could Skyrim make this list? It's an RPG, not an action-adventure. But then again, it does have a lot of action, and it's brimming with adventure. So I ask you, how could it not make the list? One of the few truly open-world experiences on Switch, Skyrim gives you unprecedented levels of freedom, even by today's standards. Want to transform into a night-stalking vampire? Or become a legendary dragon slayer? Why not work your way up one of the world's numerous guilds? You can do all of that, or none of that. With all of your options, this game can feel endless and in the best way possible. Good thing too, because it's going to be a long wait for Elder Scrolls 6. When I made a video a few months back about the most underrated indies on Switch, Severed was near the top of the list. And even with all the indie games flooding the system, it remains one of the best. It's a first-person dungeon crawler featuring some of the most unique combat you'll ever experience. See, you have to use the touchscreen to do battle. In fact, you can play this whole game without a proper controller. Once you've beaten your enemies to a slithering pulp, you can sever their limbs with a well-timed swipe of your finger, sword. Then, harvest their parts to craft upgrades and learn new abilities. You'll also have to use your wits to work your way through the game's maze-like levels, which feature more than a few environmental puzzles, along with dozens of secrets and hidden items. Okami follows the blueprint laid out by older Zelda games like A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. Like in those games, the overworld has been draped in darkness, and you've got to solve numerous dungeons as you restore order to the land. But instead of playing a pointy-eared Hyrulean, you take the role of a wolf named Okami. And this game features a unique twist to complement the beautiful watercolor-like visuals. You can literally paint over the world to interact with your environment, defeat enemies, and solve puzzles. For me, this was a bit tedious on my PS4, but it's made much more convenient on the Switch thanks to touch controls. I also want to note that I personally thought Okami was a bit slow to the draw. It takes a good 6 to 8 hours to get going, but if you dig the artistic presentation and you want a relaxing game that borrows heavily from The Legend of Zelda, then you're in for one of the most critically acclaimed action adventures of the last 3 console generations. You already know that Breath of the Wild is one of the best games ever made. In fact, there's not much I can say about it that you don't already know, but I'm gonna try. Did you know that before the game was finished, you could recover your stamina in the middle of climbing just by stabbing your sword into a cliff and using it as a platform? Thankfully, this ability was removed, forcing you to think strategically about how to get from point A to point B without falling to your death. In fact, I'd argue that this change went a long way to making the open world of Breath of the Wild so fun to explore. Also, did you know that the first builds of the game could be played through in about a day, while later versions took developers about a week to completely finish? Cool trivia aside, if you own a Switch and haven't played Breath of the Wild, you're missing out on a seminal experience that expanded the notion of what an open world game could be. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and check out my last video where I count down the top 10 RPGs for the Nintendo Switch. And if you never want to miss one of my videos, all it takes is clicking that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video.